Good afternoon, gamers. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of being joined by now robot artist, game designer, self publisher extraordinaire, and a true industry icon, Phil Reed. Phil is currently running a very fun and interesting Kickstarter that piqued my interest called Dungeon Slimes. It's the RPG you can drink. We're going to pop the top off that lemon lime awesomeness right there. And we're going to talk about that and a bunch of Phil's other work. And both the Kickstarter and Phil's drive-through RPG store are linked in the description below. So be sure to check out both and help this awesome man out. Phil, thanks so much for joining me today. I'm beyond excited to talk games with you. So
Uh, Thank you. I love to talk, and I don't do many interviews like this, so it's always fun when I get a chance.
well,
So
I'm glad
yeah,
you
thank
could
you.
come on. So one thing I always like to ask folks when like icebreaker kind of question is, how did you get started playing RPGs?
So I got into games at a fairly young age, and thinking around 11 or 12. I'm pretty sure it was when I was 11. Got introduced to the basic red box D&D. 12, 11, right around there. So just friends. The biggest introduction for me was actually in the fourth grade because one of my friends' parents played D&D, and in their basement had a big table and minis, and like friends would come over, and I never got to play, but I would spend hours just looking at this stuff because it was incredible. And it was so old school because it's the big table with like the dry erase and all these mismatched and weird painted or not even painted minis and ugly dice, and it was crazy. It was so good. And after that, the Dark Tower game came out. I played a hell of a lot of that. When the Zaxxon board game, when I got that, I was like, wait, people do this for their careers, and I thought I would like to do this for the rest of my life. And I've been lucky enough to now do this for the last 26 years full time. So I love it, and I don't think I've answered your question. And I'm sorry, but you're
I think
warned.
that was I think that was great because Dark Tower was one of my favorite games growing up as well. As soon as you said that, all I heard in my head was I was
I think that
starting that up.
I think the tower is actually in this room somewhere right now.
Ugh. I've got to get an old copy sometime. Ours, through several moves in my childhood, got relocated to Lord knows where, and I've got to get
I
that game back.
Somewhere around 2005 or 2006, I put my copy in a closet, and I forgot to take the batteries out. So
Oh,
about 4 years ago, I'm like, I should check this out again. So it was cleaning time, like corrosion, and But those old electronics, I mean, if you clean them up, they start working most of the time pretty well. They were very well constructed.
yeah, they were. That Dark Tower and Stop Thief was another one of my favorite electronic games growing up. I don't know if
There's
you remember that one.
I do, and there's one from the early '90s, '91 or '92, maybe, called Omega Virus. That is another electronic that's really crazy fun and absolutely worth trying to track down.
I got to write that one down.
That one,
Omega.
that one's good. I can't remember who published it. It was one of the main companies, though. I can't remember who,
Interesting.
but
I'm gonna have to check
we
that one
recommend
out
it.
because electronic games are always fun to me. The lights and the sounds are just like they tickle me. I love them.
Somebody recently gave me one of the Mattel D&D Labyrinth games, the with the metal dragon. It's like
Yep.
a grid, and I haven't even turned it on yet, but I'm excited to because I haven't touched that thing since probably 1985.
Now that's the one, if I recall, that has the little red game pieces that you build the walls with going through, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm kind of excited to play that when I get a chance.
Very cool. Man, I see. How I was telling you mine and Brian Shutter's interview went so long. This is why, because I have the feeling I could talk board games, role playing games, and dice games with you for hours. So, but really, the next thing I need to know is how in the world did you come up with dungeon slimes? I mean, on the Kickstarter page, you refer to it as very dumb,
Yes.
and I personally think it's very brilliant to because it's such an it's as far as I know, it's never been done before.
As far as we've been able to learn, no one has ever done a game like this printed on a can. I can't even find an instance of like a traditional game that's printed on a can. And where it came from is my brain's really stupid. And sometimes if I see something, I'll be like, oh, wait, I can do something with that. And what happened was I was searching for something. I love to search for bizarre things that you can customize and print on, or just and then figure out what I can do. And I stumbled across somebody's like how to have the perfect wedding, and there was a section in there about contact a craft soda company and have custom drinks made for your wedding. And I'm like, wait a minute. So I did exactly that. And we did 2 rounds of prototypes, so 48 prototype cans, because you have to order a case at a time. And it works. It is really, really stupid. We will never do this again unless something dramatic happens, because it's also really expensive to do in short runs like that. But I think it's worth it. And then to make it easier on people too is if you get the can, you get the game on like it's like 5 or 6 copies of the game on bookmarks, because it fits on that. That way your game group can just have that. And then there's also a choice if you just want the bookmark, like the rules and not the drink itself. Lex, my creative partner and editor and co-designer on this, suggested we call that reward the Scaredy Cat edition, but we ultimately changed it. But I thought that was really funny.
I like that as well.
And it's
uh,
so the entire game is printed on the can. So you get the rules, and it has such incredible things like, how do I get off this ride? The game will continue so long as players can move their slimes and the GM can move their NPCs. The game ends when either all of the slimes are dead or you find something better to do with your time. Please, I beg of you, do in fact find something better to do with your time. So it's not in any way serious. It is the GM like draws out a dungeon, and then the PCs are slimes, and they can your choices on a turn are you can move, eat, or sleep, and that's all the slimes can do. It's very stupid, and it was not inspired by, but definitely came from the same nightmare realm as the gelatinous dice game that Steve Jackson Games published that I had designed. So I talked to the team over there, and they were totally cool and said, yeah, totally offer the gelatinous game as an add-on if you wish. So I was really happy to do that. And the gelatinous dice game, if you've never seen it, is each player starts with 7 dice. And your goal is to build a cube. The first player to build a cube with 8 dice wins. They've become a full-grown gelatinous cube. But the way you do this is every turn you're rolling your dice, and I'm going to mix this up because I am. You roll all your dice. Everybody does it at the same time. Any 3s that you roll form your cube. They start to go in and you start building your cube. Any 6s you roll, you pass to your left, and any 1s you roll, you're pass to your right. So as the game's going, dice are moving around because you can't win unless you get other people's dice, because you need 8 and you only start with 7. And I clearly like 6-sided dice because I didn't even realize it at the time. But the Dungeon Slimes game uses 6-sided dice, like 9 per player or something ridiculous. So the gelatinous dice game is actually a really unexpected, fun companion to Dungeon Slimes, because the gelatinous dice game, all the rules are printed on the dice bag. that comes in the box. And I'll have to look, but I think the Dungeon Slimes bookmark will fit in that bag. So it's basically with that bag and the dice, you have 2 games in 1 dice bag.
That is fantastic. I love that.
And it was not planned at all. It was totally accident.
I have got to grab gelatinous because that sounds like my 14-year-old is going to be coming up for a part of the summer, and it sounds like that would be a really fun game to sit around with the family and play, just passing the dice around everywhere.
Yeah,
And
if you've ever played something like LCR or 10Z, or even like the Zombie Dice game from Steve Jackson Games, that's where the gelatinous falls into that style of just simple, fast party game.
very, very cool. So you've designed dice games, card games, role-playing games, and how different is your creative process for each style of game, or are they more similar than I would think?
Oh, well, it's cute that you call it a process, because that's not quite how I do things. A process implies that I know what I'm doing and putting actual intelligence behind what I'm doing. What I do is the more I play games, the less I like rules. I'm just gonna be honest. And it's not that I hate rules, it's that I hate when a game just keeps stacking rules on top of rules, and it gets so annoying and confusing, and it just crumbles. So the one commonality across everything that I've made and I keep making is it gets simpler and faster. So like the Dungeon Slimes is super quick and easy, but it's really, really stupid. But then also we have the Dank and Dark role-playing game launching on BackerKit next month. And that is, while it's still fairly simple, is not stupid. It's if you've seen it, Nate Tremay's Tunnel Goons RPG. He has an open rules for that, so you can create things. So actually, I've got a printout here. So Dank and Dark is a 24-page RPG that is printed as a children's board book. If you've ever seen, or well, I'm sure you've seen them. You may just not know the hard books for young kids. But I just have random pages here. But it's the board book, and it's a very, very rules light. Does not take itself too seriously. It is not at the level as Dungeon Slime. Let me see this. So like, and it includes 3 different dungeons that are all set to go. So this one is Zombie Tortoises, which is super fun. And I love that little tortoise drawing. I wonder if I can find the... Yeah, here we go. One is the Necromancer's Pies.
The Necromancer's Pies. I love
the
it.
The Necromancer has really good magical pies, and you're going to break into his lair and steal pies. So, not serious. It is not designed for children, and the primary reason for that is every family has a different idea of what is appropriate for their children. So it is designed to be played by children if the parents decide, yeah, this is totally cool for my kid. And part of that process included Lex going through everything I had done and saying horribly cruel things to me, like, eviscerate is not an appropriate word for children. Murder, no, you cannot have murder and kill. No. So basically, all my fun was taken away from me again. I'm used to it. It's like
well, that's not very nice.
but it's a pattern. I remember sometime in my life at Steve Jackson Games, I wanted to make empty blister packs, and we did the Munchkin Imaginary Friend that we gave away. But what I wanted to do was sell a display of 10. And then every display has 1 bonus special card in it. And I was told that is evil and we can't do that. So and I don't even know how I got there. Sorry, I should say I've been dealing with some brain stuff for the last couple of years, and I'm a lot slower and stupider than I was before, which I know is hard to imagine. But yeah, I am slower and stupider than ever, and I'll sometimes have. If I think too much about it, I start having speech issues. So I'll apologize now if I'm.
No, you have
Yeah,
nothing to apologize for, my friend, at all. So,
thank you.
um, one thing I heard you say, I actually got to do a bunch of research on this one. And I heard
Hmm.
you say in an interview with Deku Games was that you can wake up with an idea and have it published by noon. How is that? That is just fathomable to me.
The trick is just be persistent and too stupid to know not to do these things. And like I've always been, or I used to be very fast. Like the Yorkborg monster book I made, Kalo's Book of Monsters. That was waking up on a weekend and saying, I want to write a monster book. So I wrote it that weekend. And the way I work is I'm a very visual person, and I always have been. And this method of working for me, I actually realize goes back almost 40 years now. Because what I do is I build basically a visual outline of the entire project. So if it's going to be a 64-page book, I do all the graphics work, everything, and then I write to the design. And as I'm going, if like, oh, I need a little more space here, I'll reduce art or move art. If I like, I don't have enough here, I'll make the art bigger or get a different piece of art. And it's just a very flexible process, and it allows me to wrap things up a lot faster because I know most people write and design things and then move into later stages. And I kind of do everything at once. And it's an iterative process where I do it and I'm like, oh, that sucks. Do it again. I do it. No, that sucks. Do it again. And I'm the other secret is if I think this is like 95, 96% there to perfection, I'm usually like, okay, this is really good and we're ready to move on because in my experience, once you hit that 95, 96 percentile on just, it is so amazingly perfect, you can spend just as much time getting from 96% to 98% perfect as you did getting from the 0 to I'm 96 perfect with. So I'm just I know some people don't like this and don't do this, but for me, I'm very this project is done next, and I think that is a big part of the reason I create so many things because I'm not afraid to fail. Like if I screw up, okay, I'm gonna screw up all the time, but it helps me learn. And I mean, I've been yeah, about 40 years. 1986, Commodore 64 using Newsroom was my first experience with any desktop publishing. And my background before joining the game industry, and this is my 30th anniversary of using Photoshop, for example. I used to manage the production and graphics for a newspaper and a magazine, and I learned a lot about everything in that. I used to love going like to the presses. The newspaper, the press we used was in St. Louis, and it was like a 2-hour drive for me. And every now and then I would have to run the boards up because this was a time when we were doing like big paste up boards where you cut out the text and you're waxing it and putting it on there and you're using like border tape and you're cutting yourself with razor blades accidentally all the time. I like darkroom. I'd go in the darkroom, develop film for the newspaper or the magazine. Well, no, I only developed black and white film because we didn't do color. So the magazine, we sent that out. Um, and I learned, I mean, I knew a bunch about things before I got there, but when I got there, I learned so much because one of the things I got to learn was the shooting photomechanical transfers. is what it's called. And it's basically, you know how in newspapers you can see the dots in print? So that's the line screen, and newspapers are a very low line screen, but you just can't take a picture and paste it on there for the press to do, because you've got to, it'll just be mud if it's like that. So you take the picture, you load it in this big machine that we had a room for this thing, and you put the photo on one end, and you've got the paper on the other that you're going to be transferring this to, and it's basically, it burns the image in, and you can move the machine, like the distance between the picture you want and what you're doing, in order to reduce and enlarge the image. And there's a screen that you put over the piece, and then when it burns that image in, and I may be getting some of the technical bits wrong, it's been a long time, but basically when you're done, then you develop that piece that you just shot, not exactly like you would develop pictures, but same basic concept. And then you've got this thing that now when you paste this down on the newspaper, the printer can handle it fine because it's got the dots that it needs right there.
It's almost like it gives it some form of texture to cling paper, or
it's not so much that, it's just the presses. Have you done any like printing, graphics work, anything like that?
Only digital, so I've never done any like physical media.
So for physical, at the time back then, it was we used a 150 line screen for things, and then as we moved into the digital, you use 300 DPI for print. Almost think of the line screen in the newspaper as, what if it was 100 DPI? I mean, that's not right. I think it's 66 or something. I can't remember the exact. So like per square inch, there are fewer dots, like the dots per square inch. And because newspapers cannot replicate the high quality of photos and things like that. If you look at old comic books, for example, they were printed on newsprint and used a very similar thing. And then the way you would do the colors for that is you would actually have four color like gels that you cut out and design. And then when they overlay with the four color press is how you create the colors. So the newspaper we only did black and white with spot colors, which would be like, this issue I'm going to use black and green because like John Deere is sponsoring this one or something like that. And I would then go through and, just like they did for the comics, cut out what I need on that film. And you got registration marks with your board. So if you've got color in your newspaper page at that time, you've got a big piece of like cardboard, basically. It's like a Bristol board, poster board. I don't remember exactly, where you've done all the work of gluing everything down, taping it down, drawing on it sometimes if you need to. And then you have the second layer, which is a clear, where you've got the, I think it's called Ribbolith. It's been a long time, that you cut and adhere to that, and you line it up. And with comic books, and they did the 4 layers like that, it doesn't always register perfectly. So if you pull out some comics from like 50s, 60s, 70s, probably even the 40s, you'll see sometimes the art, and there'll be like a little line of red dots right beside it. And that is, that red color shifted a little bit from what everything else was.
Interesting.
And I'm rambling now, so you're going to have to stop me.
Oh, no, that was great. That actually sounds like that must have been such a fun job to do.
I learned a lot, and I went into that already knowing a lot because my dad was a graphic artist in the Air Force. So, I mean, I was 8, 9 years old. Like, I'd go in and like learn how to use T-squares, and it was fun.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I loved it.
So you started writing RPGs, if I've got this right, or writing professionally for West End Star Wars RPG in 1995.
Yes,
What do you, I think you kind of already answered this a little bit, but what do you think has evolved the most? And I'm going to use the word again in your process over the last uh, 30 years.
I think it's confidence. I trust my instincts more than I did then. I used to second guess myself a lot, and I don't often these days. Um, I think confidence is the big one, which is funny because I suffer from imposter syndrome hourly. I mean, anytime somebody's like, "Oh, you did a great job," I'm like, "Oh, thank you," and I understand that is a compliment, and I really appreciate it. But there's a part of me that's like, I could have done this better. So confidence, I think, is what I've gained in the last 30 years that makes me better and faster at what I do.
Gotcha.
And that's
That's
not a
pretty great though to
process
get
per
that
se.
confidence, but
Yeah.
I've got the same thing. It's like I've had people reach out to me. Oh, there's the pretty kitty. I'll have folks reach out to me and be like, "Oh, I loved your interview with so and so, and I went and bought this game," and it's the same thing. I'm like, "Oh, well, thanks." I've got that little bit inside of me that's just like, "How did they like that?" That's like, and
I
I think it's the curse of every creative to be that way. Of
yeah, I think you have to be a narcissist to lose entirely that sliver of, is this good enough? Am I doing a good job? So and just that's an hourly thing.
yeah, I'm right there with you, buddy. So I can relate. Um, Another project recently that I saw you've done that I think is really cool. I've got the first book of it. Was working on Write Even Better Adventures for Goodman Games as part of their, I think it was Dungeon Denizens 2.
Yeah, so I didn't participate in the first volume, but Joe emailed me and asked if I would write something for the second, and I, I did. I wrote something. It was super fun. I don't know if I'm able to tell what my essay is about in there,
Well, I
but
definitely don't want to get you in trouble. So
yeah. So I'll just say it's about fantasy role playing.
very cool.
Yeah.
And they seem like they're so much like such a joy to work with, as everyone that I've ever talked to with Goodman Games has been an absolute peach to talk to. It's like they're all
Yeah.
so nice and like
Yeah.
welcoming and like, hey, if you want to do something, just do it and we'll help you out or help you get along the way. And it's like, so they're just so welcoming. That whole DCC community, MCC community, and now Xcrawl are just such fantastic people. I cannot say enough good things about them. I'm jealous. My cat's back in her hammock and you've got yours hanging out.
Jeez. This started in 2020 because I was doing so many video calls at home. And whenever I would start talking, she would run in, jump into my lap. And well, I mean,
Look at
this
that.
is
That is so cute.
this is her this is her spot. And at times I have to be like, I'm sorry, kitty, you have to get down because I can't type with you. But how can you turn this down? I mean,
Oh, yeah. My cat just likes to come up and stare at the
come
camera
on.
and then like show off things she shouldn't be showing off. And her name is Squeaks. And it's like, Squeaks, no, none of that today.
This is Judy, and unfortunately, we lost her brother Punch probably 2 weeks into the pandemic in 2020 because I went to open a door and it wouldn't open, and he died behind the door, and it was just really sad.
Oh, I'm sorry
And
to
I'm
hear that.
happy she's still here after that long because I was worried about her. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, thank you.
So I was browsing through your drive-through store and you have made, oh, there it goes. I've got to get some of those. I've got to back the Kickstarter because oh, look at that green. That is, oh my goodness. How can I resist? Yeah, actually, now you're gonna make me kick back to the Kickstarter. That was just like showing the foil to the squirrel. Um, Now it's lemon lime flavor, right?
Mhm.
And it looks so good. That reminds me of like oh, I just lost the name. The Latino sodas. I can't think of it. Oh, they come in a glass bottle, and I can see them clear as day, and I cannot remember the name.
I'm trying to remember, but I don't know why you saying lemon lime triggered my brain the way that it is, but I wish I would have called it a lemon slime soda. So, but I think
Lemon
when it
lime.
comes to food and things like that, I mean, we've never done this, so I stick with basically what the craft soda company is saying. Like, do this. Like, they provide all the nutrition information, and because I don't know calories, I don't know, 5,
Yeah.
1,200.
Buy them all. But, now I'm gonna switch back to the drive-through store. See, I'm all over the place too, so you definitely have nothing to feel bad for. Um, your drive-through store, you have designed for a lot of systems. I saw Morkborg, Dragonbane, and even more that just aren't coming to my head. Do you have any one that you think is easier to design for than others, and some that you think are a little more difficult, I guess you would not difficult, but that present more challenges than others to design for?
Um, I don't know if there's one I like best, but I can say I greatly appreciate the current take on D&D versus the third edition 3.5, because when I was writing for that, it took a lot of work to get things like just right and where you wanted it. It was such a complicated system when you look back at it. So like just intertwined nightmares. And I really like 5e's simplicity. I mean, there's a lot going on in there, but none of it's complicated. And the new Dungeon Master's Guide. I think that's the best Dungeon Master's Guide they've published yet. It is so well organized. And I know you had a question. I know I'm talking, but I am not answering the question, and I forgot the question.
No, you are quite alright.
Okay.
I had asked if there was one that was easier for you to design in versus some of the others.
Maybe Troika might be the easiest if I was going just like what is the easiest to design for. And I mostly in the RPG space create stuff to be used with other RPGs. Like I'm a big fan of creating tools for the dungeon master or game master, basically, so that like I've got books that is just here's hundreds of a thing type of thing. And I love to write encounter hooks and rumors and just little snippets like that that a GM can take and use. I don't have here, but a couple of years ago, I wrote and designed the deck of notices and quests, which is 80 cards, completely systemless. There's no game mechanics anywhere near this thing. And each card is designed as like a wanted poster or a flyer, something that you might see. And the intention is when the PC is going to a new town, the GM can be like, I'm going to deal these out. And like, here's, you see these three, and the players can keep it. And then there's a companion book to that that has a reprint of the card plus a bunch of new information that isn't anywhere on the card for the GM, and then a place for the GM to make like write down any notes or something whenever they finally use that. And then there's a table of 80 rumors in the back. 80, I think it's 80 um, that are tied to the cards. So you can hand out these little, like, basically, like, oh, you found this wanted poster, and then they can hear a rumor about it or something. And my intention there is over time the players are kind of helping the GM decide, like, what are we going to do next? Because the players will be like, oh, we want to chase this down, we want to track this down, we want to do this. And I like getting the players involved in that level. Like I made
Yeah.
a card deck called Hex Deck a few years ago, and it's 50, I think. 7 hex locations, like a 7 hex space, and then keyed. And there's the front side of the card has information on one of the spaces, and the reverse side has more information on that space, information on another space, and then a little random encounter table, like a 6 entry encounter table. And what I think is the coolest way for people to use this is, let's say you're doing your session 0, you can deal out these hex cards to different people, and then everybody can like take turns, like, oh, I want to make sure this is on the map, I want to make sure this is on, you build your map as a group that way.
That is so cool.
I love that one and how it turned out, and thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, both of those sound absolutely amazing. And all I could picture is I played in a few of like the West Marches campaigns during the pandemic on Discord. And basically the way groups would form is they would have a job board listed in a server on Discord, and you'd go in and you'd 5 or 6 of you would be like, yeah, we want to go check out this haunted castle, or we want to go capture this bad guy, or whatever. And it sounds like you've brought that into a physical dimension, and it's so neat. I love it.
Thank you. I didn't know about that, but it's cool to find out that other people are doing that.
Yeah, and that's the first thing I visualized was like people walking up in like a bar to like a cork board, like you used to see back in the 80s and 90s with the pull tabs, like, call this number if you want to do this.
Yep.
And well, let's call this guy and go on an adventure with him. That is so cool.
And have about half of a second deck for those notices and quests written. So that's probably going to get finished this year. Nice. Which will mean then you can have 160 of these if you get both sets.
Wow, that's a lot. That is basically a campaign in a couple of decks of cards, if not more campaigns in one. Really, if you wanted to.
I just thought of something that came in yesterday, a prototype that I'm gonna try and get my hands on here in a second.
I would love to see it.
It's really cool. I am really proud of this one. And the sad thing is, I forgot about the existence of this project entirely. I'm just you can tell we're in the modern age. I'm texting my wife to say, hey, this thing's on the counter where I left it. Can you bring it to me? So, we do that all the time. I'll be upstairs working. She'll be downstairs, and we just quit yelling at each other, like up and down the stairs, and just text.
Yeah, it's crazy what technology has allowed. Like, I was telling you about the 3D print business earlier. My fiance actually handles pulling a lot of the supports off for me because I have horrible eyesight, and I'll wind up ripping off a sword while I'm trying to remove supports. But every so often she'll encounter one that she's like, oh, this broke, and she'll text me, and I instantly queue it up and start printing a new one. And you got to love technology.
Yeah, I want to do the 3D printing thing someday. It sounds fun.
It is a lot of fun. The only bad thing about it is my gray pile of shame used to be much smaller than it is now. It's just this mountain of minis and terrain now that I want to paint, because I'll put something up on the site, the customer will order it, and I haven't necessarily seen it physically, and then I print it. I'm like, ooh, this is cool. I need to print one of these for me. So I've got boxes of stuff I need to paint now. So
I need to get myself some really good sci-fi minis terrain, because I've been working on a solo dungeon crawl game, and the way I want to I want to shoot some videos to show it off, but I want to do like a sci-fi, even though it's a fantasy, just to show like different ways that you can do it. And like I got my hands on a complete set of the Star Wars Imperial Assault from Fantasy Flight Games that is a painted set that
Oh
came from a
wow.
store. When the store was getting out of it, they were like, well, what are we going to do with this? And well, I've got it. And I need to get some really good sci-fi terrain to go with that, because I think it'd be super fun to show off this system I'm building using like that and just running through things.
Well, I would love to help you out. So we'll talk after we get off the air, and we'll talk. I'll help you out for sure. So, yeah, boy, I got myself distracted talking about 3D printing, because that's a rabbit hole that if you let me go down it, I will talk about it forever. One of your projects that I saw from the Steven Jackson Games era that you actually brought up earlier that I've got to get, I saw in an interview that you had done, I think it was back in 2019 at Gen Con, was Z-Shot. That looks like such
Oh,
a
uh,
fun game.
that one is not one of my designs. I think I'm
Oh, I
credited
thought
as
you had said
maybe
that was.
I don't. It might be. I don't think it is, but I'm not gonna say. I'm not all here, so.
Well,
But
bad me. I misunderstood how it was said.
not an issue. I said zombie dice. Maybe that's what you're thinking of.
That probably is what I am thinking of, because I have that on here too, because post-apocalyptic and zombie games are some of my favorite, and especially like fast-paced games with zombies, because you're supposed to be running from them, and it's like
So I didn't design that one, but I was very heavily involved in every stage, starting with Steve and I were walking through the Madison Farmers Market, I think, and just started discussing that and the Cthulhu dice game, and just kind of brainstormed everything. And by the time I got back, because he flew back before I did, he had everything ready, and he brought the games over. We had dinner here and play tested and just kind of refined things, but it worked out really well. And then 4 years, 5 years, I don't know, sometime after that, I was going for a walk. It's like a Sunday morning, and I suddenly realized I bet I can turn zombie dice into like a Mars Attacks game. So I text the guy who's in charge of licensing at Tops at that time, and he's like, "Yeah, cool, do it." So I wrote up all the rules, and by the time I got back from my walk, I had emailed the rules to our development team and Steve. And then Monday, when I went in, we started the play testing of the game, and then spent the next week just refining things, improving things, making a really good, like, nice mock-up. And then from there, I went straight to New York Toy Fair with it and started showing it off. And Barnes and Noble was like, "Yeah, we totally want that." So there's 10,000 sold there, and just it was such a really fun game to work on, and I love how it turned out.
I bet, and I had to really fight when you said Mars Attacks. I had to really fight going ack without even thinking about it.
So that is from the movie, which is actually a completely different entity from the classic Mars Attacks, because that was originally a trading card set from the 1960s. I can't remember when.
Really?
62 or 64, something like that. And the original cards are kind of gruesome, but it's really, really cool. And then in the mid 80s, they did like a reprint. In the mid to late 80s, they did Dinosaurs Attacks, which was a similar thing of just dinosaurs going around mauling things. And then Tops did comic books for a short time in the 90s, and they did a Mars Attacks series that I'm pretty sure Keith Giffen wrote, but it's fun. It's very stupid. It's very fun. And Tops has continued to create Mars Attacks things since then, but the movie rights and Tops owns all of it, but it's a mess. It's kind of like if we think about Batman, and you don't see Batman live action television shows. You'll see Batman in some live action shows. You do not see Batman shows like you've seen the Gotham show that they made, for example, or this new Penguin. And that is because if you trace everything back to the 60s, you're going to find out that ABC still has a bit of a hold on Batman and television, which means Disney has a tiny bit of a hold on Batman and television. It's bizarre. And that's why for the longest time you didn't see any of that 1960s Batman as like merchandise or anything. And I think it was 15 years ago, 10 years ago that DC and ABC worked out some things, and DC was started to publish and create like Batman 66 stuff at that time.
Interesting.
My brain is full of stupid.
Licensing issues are always fascinating to me because, I mean, then you look at what happened with Marvel. You know, where like look at this Fantastic Four movie coming out. I'm like, oh my goodness, it looks like they finally got it right now that it's back in like Marvel's hands. You know, and it's just so bizarre licensing. How it all works.
And Spider-Man, the X-Men, Fantastic Four, those were all victims of Marvel's just horrible state in the 90s because they were almost dead there for a time.
Yeah.
It was not a good time for comic books once 94, 95 hit and you had the big crash.
Yep, so. I remember because I had a lot of those books that back then everybody thought were going to like buy up all these alternate covers and they're going to be worth a fortune in the future. And then they just weren't.
It's funny you should say that because last week I was pulling down some comic boxes. I was chatting with Ed Burrell over at Skeleton Key Games, who, if you have not seen his work, highly worth checking out. He does amazing maps. And 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, he started creating these D&D scrolls. And I think he's now done every single spell in the SRD. And they are physical items that you can hold that are customized, like he's painting and everything. So when you buy a scroll, you get a work of art, and it's intended as kind of a prop in the game. So like the GM can be like, you found a fireball scroll and hand it out, and it's a prop to use. And they're gorgeous. But what were we? Ed and I were talking about something, and we do this all the time, and it made me Grendel, the Grendel comics, which I'd never read, he's a giant fan of, and I remembered, oh yeah, the Batman Grendel. So I was pulling out comics, and while I was there, I'm like, I still can't remember the issue number for that X-Force that Mike Mignola illustrated, so I have to find that while I'm here. And I find like X-Force number 1 all bagged and in great shape. I'm like, why do I have this? How is this still here? And it's just, yeah, that was a weird era. And I feel as if they kind of learned their lesson because you don't see that sort of greed with the whole weird covers. And but they've found a different trick. I don't know if you've seen the sketch covers, for example.
Yeah.
Or the variant covers. And I was going somewhere. I swear it was. Oh, right. But I realized recently, if you want to speculate in comics and actually make some money over the long term, check out the artist editions that multiple people are publishing these days. If you've not seen these and you're in any way interested in art, you've got to see these, because what they've done is they have artisan editions, which are incomplete, but they have artist editions, and they track down the original art and scan it, and they publish it at original size. And most comics are done 2-up. So like I've got the Archie Goodwin and Al Williamson Empire Strikes Back adaptation from 1980 in this edition. So it is a, no joke, like 2-foot tall book. And these things, just the values on them can go crazy. There's a Bill Sienkiewicz one that I missed even existed. And I found out about its existence a month or so ago, and I'm like, well, I have to go buy this. I do not have to go buy that because the cheapest one I could find was $600.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
That is where the market is now, I guess.
They're about $100 to $150 each, and they're amazing. If you're into comic book art at all, they are absolutely amazing. And then the artisan editions are like $40 because they're smaller. They're not like the full size. And they're often incomplete, like they don't have all the pages, so it's just an art collection.
That is very cool.
They're amazing. I just got the Kelly Jones Batman in a couple days ago, and I can't look at these until I like dedicate time and space because like the EC covers, there's an EC Comics covers from the 50s one. It's massive. If somebody said it's 30 inches tall, I'd say, okay, I believe you. It is ridiculous. And they're so good. They're so good.
I want to track down a copy of that Empire Strikes Back one because I can tell you're a big fan, and I don't know if you can really see my posters that I've got, but I've got this one of all the bounty hunters from Empire Strikes Back lined up. A New Hope.
Is that the Ralph McQuarrie art that they use?
That's on a wall that doesn't get hit with the sun.
Okay.
That I do have, but oh boy. Yeah, there's a rabbit hole we could go down, the McQuarrie art. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
There is a company out there, if you want to get posters for Star Wars, that they work with officially licensed designers called Bottleneck Gallery. And they will do limited runs of, say, I just got them in this week. They're still in the tube in my kitchen, of these 3 really nice artistic posters of the original trilogy, all done in the same style. I wish I had a picture I could pop up on the screen. But
is it kind of like what Mondo was doing with posters for a while?
Okay. Yes, they're very much the Mondo posters. But yeah, this company Bottleneck Gallery, almost they do a bunch of different stuff. Like I got my 14-year-old this Lost Boys poster because she is in love with that movie. I think I gave her my Voodoo password, and she has now watched that movie about 200 times over the last year. She's obsessed with it. So I got her this great poster. But yeah, my walls are covered with Star Wars posters. So
my walls, well, the house is a museum. I'll just admit it. I ran a toy blog for a decade or so, and it's still up. I just haven't had the time to deal with it because it's a WordPress blog, so somebody got in there and did their thing. But and at that time, while I was still at Steve Jackson Games and like CEO and buried, the toy blog was my outlet. And because I'm me, I eventually started writing and publishing books about toys on that, and I ended up doing 10 or 11 Actually, I've got a couple here. I made sure to bring show and tell. So like this hardcover is basically an archive of Star Wars newspaper ads.
That is so
from
cool.
the 70s and 80s. And so like I photographed everything. So like the Dixie cups here, those are in the closet over there. I've seen those. So everything in here, I either own and photographed, or a friend shipped me a copy. Like I don't have it here, but I did a 176-page hardcover about action figure carrying cases that go back. I think the earliest ones are the early 70s that are in there. And there was a pocket that I just couldn't fill because I didn't have it, and there was no way I was going to afford it. And that was the original Kenner Star Wars vinyl carrying cases with the art on the front. You open it up, and
with the flap and the little twist lock on the top. Yeah.
Yep. And I've got the original one. I've got the first one, but I don't have the others. There were 2 Empire Strikes Back and 1 Return of the Jedi. But I am lucky enough that Mark Bellomo, who has written tons of toy books, I know he had those, so I just like messaged him. He's like, "Yeah, cool," and he shipped them over, and I photographed everything, got them into the book, shipped it back to him. he is a super nice guy. If you're all into toys at all, checking out books by Mark Bellomo is a very, very good idea. He was a contributor on the Toys That Made Us series. He's a super, super nice guy because one day, and I just saw it over my shoulder, wrote in there, I was mentioning to him how much I really wanted to find one of the old Fisher-Price Adventure people, the robot. And the next thing I know, he ships me the robot sealed.
Oh, wow.
Like, not even telling me. And the thing that's like hundreds of dollars, but it's like, oh my God, yeah. Books by Mark Bellomo, highly recommended.
I'm gonna have to check those out. I've got a list that I've made from our talk here today of stuff I've got to check out.
And then this is a book about the third-party Transformers scene. So if you're not familiar, what's happening is somewhere around 2008 or 2007, people started manufacturing initially like add-ons. Yeah, that's what we've got here, is little add-ons to go with Transformers. But then over time, you hit the point that they just started designing them. They don't use any Hasbro names. There's nothing. And
wow.
they range from this is okay to this is absolutely amazing. Like I've got a third-party Predaking over here. Let me see if I can get it.
Go for it. Predaking was one of my favorites with the color scheme that they did with him, of that orange, black, and yellow. Oh, look at that.
Yeah. And it's massive. Oops, dropped his gun. But so I ended up doing 2 books about this this third-party scene, basically. And I don't know, I love to make things. And anything. So I'm going to put this back real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, and before we started, I was showing you the 2 canvas paintings. And you didn't know the characters. Here we go. I'll just pull it up. These 2. And then this is what the toy looked like.
Very cool.
So, yeah. And I'm rambling. I'm sorry.
Dude, I am having a blast. You are not rambling at all to me. I feel like I usually go off on tangents in the middle of my interviews, or the other thing that I'll do sometimes is just completely lose track of what I'm talking about. And I'll kind of just end up staring into the camera for about 10 seconds of like, what am I talking about? So
I've started doing some video work. I've only posted 2 videos because, it's funny. We were talking about my ability to just let things go and move on and make the next thing.
Yep.
I can't do it with video. Music, I can't do it with music. I cannot do it with video. I don't know what it is. There's something about me, like the Dungeon Slimes the soda video that's on the Kickstarter. It's 36 or 37 seconds. It took me 4 hours because I just kept pushing and just trying everything. And I put up a video earlier this year that was one where I have to post this or I'm never going to. And I'm not happy with it, but it's live. It's a do I have it here? Yeah, I do have it here. It's basically a look at this robotic radio from '84, which is easily one of the coolest, you can't even say knockoff, but not official Transformers, but robot toys from that time. And it is an actual working radio.
Wow.
But what I love about this design is the head, because we're just going to flip the handle pieces around.
Oh, wow. That's so neat.
And the whole design is really good. I am super happy with this guy, and he's really durable. And we'll give him his axe.
I'm impressed that you were able to just transform him that quick. You put even like a G1 Optimus Prime in my hands, and it scrambles my brain because I can't remember how to transform him.
So I almost always prefer the earlier designs. My complaint with a lot of the modern designs is they've forgotten they were making toys and they instead made puzzles. And
Yes.
that's not fun for me. But around 2015 or 2016, when Hasbro launched the Titans Returns line, that one was a huge shift for them because they went from this is a puzzle to this is a toy. And they've done a pretty good job with that since then. They still make the Masterpiece line, which I don't pick up much on because they're just too complicated for me. I'm a simple, dumb person. I mean, come on. My favorites are ones that, like, I'm done.
See those? See, it's funny. You say simple and dumb. You say dumb, and I'm just like, man, it's easy. I don't like to overthink things when I'm trying to have fun, and it
Yeah.
harkens back to what you were saying about rules and some things being overly complex, and
Yeah.
there's no need of it. Like, simple can be so fun. And I know you call Dungeon Slimes stupid and dumb, but it's so streamlined and great that I absolutely love it.
Thank you. Yeah, what should we touch on? I mean, we've talked about so many things. Is there
We've talked about a
something we
lot.
wanted to talk about that we haven't?
I was just going to ask you the same thing. We just hit the hour mark. It doesn't really feel like it. I've had so much fun talking that I completely lost track of time.
Well, I'll just pull some random things. This is a Sony mini disc that I made. This is 5 songs, and I don't know who remembers the mini disc, but think of it as essentially it's like kind of like a 3.5 floppy with a CD inside it. And this was Sony really tried hard to make this a thing in the 90s, and it never took off. But I found a company in the UK that'll still make them, so I did. And it's called Plague Grave, and it is a free download at Drive Through RPG, and it is 5 songs and then 1 adventure hook for each song. And the digital version is 100% free on Drive Through if anybody wants it.
I absolutely love how you take so many different mediums and almost like basically kind of kit bash them into awesomeness, because it's great.
This is from a company called Pocket Maps. Because I'd wanted to find somebody to do map printing for the longest time. And when I found this company, I was extra excited because what they do is they glue cardboard front and back cover. So it's cardboard with the paper.
Wow.
And then I did this Morkborg supplement as this, like, I don't remember, it's like 30 inches by 19 inches or something. And it's a portable little map.
That is so neat. I'm going to have to look into those guys, because that is just the coolest thing.
Yeah.
It looked like you could almost take the 2 pieces of cardboard and just go out diagonally with it.
Almost, yeah. And they've got different sizes and different numbers of panels. They make a credit card size one that folds down super tiny. And then I found this printer here in the US last year, and they also do map printing. So this is a just collection of like encounters with undead, and it just folds right down. And on Drive Through, this is available as either a card deck, so you can shuffle and draw random encounters, or there's a print-on-demand book version of it as well. And the Kickstarter was for the map. That was the initial release.
I have got to keep a closer eye on your Kickstarters, because you have some super cool stuff that you're putting out. And yeah, it's like, instantly with the pocket maps thing and that, all I can picture is one of those stands when you would go to like a rest stop with
Mhm.
all the I can just picture all your different adventures and everything and your dozen series that you have just all lined up in something like that of like grab your adventure and have some fun.
Have you seen this series that I did?
No.
So here we go. This one's Bizarre Torches, and it's a A6, so it's half the Morkborg book, for example, is A5. So two of these together is A5, so it's half of that. Half of that, it's A6. And yeah, this one's Bizarre Goos, and then we just go inside, and it is D66 table, I think, of different
Very
goos. But
cool.
there's Bizarre Sea Folk, Bizarre Torches, Bizarre Citizens, Bizarre Foes. There's more over there. I think there's 8 in total. And I want to do some more of these. These were really fun.
Oh man, I am going to have to do some shopping when I come into a little money because
Well, I'm horrible at self promotion. I don't have a website. I don't have a web store. If you missed the Kickstarter, maybe I'll offer it again on a later Kickstarter. The only place you can really just go and buy anything I've done is drive through because I don't have the mechanisms in place to sell things because I can't handle that stress personally because it would just be every day I'm like, oh, is there anything I have to ship? Do I have to ship? Do I have to ship? And I can't go on vacation now. I can't leave the house. I've got to ship. So it is an area where I am sorely lacking and I totally suck at, and I know it's one I need to fix. I'm not going
it,
to, but I know I need to.
excuse me. It can be stressful, that's for sure. Like I was telling you, I like the last few weeks with the volume we've had, I have been averaging about 4.5 hours of sleep a night at tops, and it's just like I get up in the morning and quite literally the first thing I do is run down, check the printers, grab my list of orders that need to ship, and I start shipping at 6 in the morning. So
Are you doing resin printing?
resin and filament. Yep. So
Okay.
I'm doing both.
We
So,
should talk. There was a project I was looking at doing that I just was like, I can't do this. I'm just now grabbing random things because I don't know what you
I'm
know
loving it.
exists in my
It's
business.
the
So
tomb of zine.
this is the Tomb of Zines. It's a box to put your zines in. So you can write on it. There's a table on the back, and then when you go inside, there's tables on the inside of the box. So you roll in here, and it directs you to roll on this table over here, depending on the results. And then inside the box are other things like, here we go, these little plastic cards. So this one is an unmoving skeleton, and then the back is a table of what's the skeleton doing. This one is another table. One side is the skeleton attacks, begs for help, flees, is lonely, steals an item, is not alone. And then the back has the skeleton carries in another little table. This also came with this little mini brochure of magic mouths. So it's
I love
just,
all of this.
thank you.
It's so funny because you refer to your ideas as stupid. And it's funny because I have a lot of ideas that are very parallel to a lot of the things that you've done that I say are stupid. And apparently I
Uh-huh.
need to start rolling with the stupid and just go for it with that stuff
And
because
the Tomb of Zines includes 6 of these that are actually connected to this table in the back.
wow,
So when you roll on the back, it tells you which one of these little brochures to pull out.
that is so
So,
neat, man. I love how your brain works because It really do, because it makes me feel like a lot of the ideas that I've had, because I'll draw diagrams out of how things would link, and I feel like some of them are overly complex, or as you call it, stupid. And now like seeing this, I've never seen a lot of the stuff like what you've done, and I'm just like, damn, Dave, maybe your ideas aren't so outlandish after all.
I'm a really big fan of just jumping on like the 4Imprint site. I've never ordered anything from them personally, but I love to just look through there and see like what things can you print on? And okay, what can I do with that thing? And I can't get enough. I love it. One of the things on my list, if I really want to make this, is you can have custom candy bar wrappers created. So I want to just put like a little tiny adventure on a candy bar, or maybe like a little solo RPG or something. I have two big ones that I really want to do, and I'm hoping I can get to this year. The first is I found a company in Dallas that will make 8-track cassettes, and I've got 6 songs, a project that I've been trying to find the right home and format for, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna end up doing a Shadow Dark 8-track.
That's so cool.
And then, and the funny thing, I mentioned it before, and somebody like, do you even buy 8-track players? I'm like, I don't know. That's not my problem.
Yeah.
And then the other one is I really, really want to make an RPG serial and just have an adventure printed on the back, and then have everybody's like, you got to put a prize inside, basically. So might be some cards, might be dice. I don't know. I have to look. And I've talked to a couple of private label cereal makers, and it can absolutely be done. I just have to do it. And then convince the world to spend money on it.
I will be there to help you, because that is a glorious idea.
Thank
I love
you.
it.
And as much as I want to call it Dungeonos, I won't.
Oh, well, my friend, I would love to keep going, but I will end up keeping you here for another 5 hours or so, just talking crazy ideas. I would love to have you back on at some point in the future.
Yeah, I'd love to.
And because I have had an absolute blast talking with you today. So
thank you.
But I should let you go and get back to your day. And
yeah, I think our afternoon's going to be watching more Andor, because we decided we want to watch the first season again before the second.
I haven't started the second yet, but that's a good idea to binge season 1 again before.
And we just finished The Bad Batch. We had watched the first season when it came out, and then just life happened. Have you seen it, The Bad Batch?
I have not seen all of it yet because of, as you said, life happening and everything. It's just
around the middle of season 2, I'm like, this is the best Star Wars animated series they've made. And by the end of season 3, and tying up the whole story and ending it, this is some of the best Star Wars they have made. Spoiler is the big picture is ultimately what's happening is the Bad Batch, the Clone Force 99 guys, are helping Captain Rex rescue clones, because the Empire is like decommissioning and prisoning, locking away, and the clones they rescue form the basis of the Rebel Alliance. There's a couple awesome scenes in the 3rd season, and one of the things I really love about Andor and even the Bad Batch, when Lucas made Star Wars, he told us the Empire is evil. All the time, the Empire is evil, the Empire is evil. But ultimately, it was whitewashed fascism.
Yeah.
What Andor and the Bad Batch have done, both of them, is they're not telling us the Empire is evil. They are showing us the Empire is evil. And I absolutely love that. Andor, Rogue One, that has climbed to my top favorite Star Wars of any ever made. And the Bad Batch is probably right behind Empire. The Bad Batch is probably number 3. And
Wow.
the Bad Batch also has some of the same themes, which is what I like, but it's not as harsh because it's not necessarily intended for a solely adult audience. But there are scenes in the 3rd season that really can get emotional today if you think about the state of the world and just how that happens. I mean, Lucas's work on trying to like take his experiences and thoughts of the Vietnam War and turn it into Star Wars, that's come back in a big way between Andor and the Bad Batch. And I love them both. They're so good.
Yeah, Andor is just simply chef's kiss. It is so good. And the whole prison thing, spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't seen season 1 yet, like that just rocked me so hard. And I don't want to say what, but there's one of the characters that I think you know where I'm going.
I know. There is a character who says 3 of the most painful words you will ever hear when you're watching Star Wars.
Yep. It crushed me when he said that. And I'm just like, with Cassian staring at him when he says that, you're just like, dude. And it's like,
it's painful, but it's so good. And that's what I like. And this is our 3rd time through the 1st season of Andor now. And we just finished the 4th episode last night and probably gonna watch 2 or 3 more today.
Nice.
It's better with each viewing because I think I'm not as focused on the big thing that's happening, but I'm able to better process now the fringe things and the more subtle stuff. And it's really good. Like shockingly good.
It is some, like you said, it's some of the best Star Wars ever made. And I've got one of my friends that won't watch it because he's like, I already know the end of it and like what happens, the end result. And I'm like, yeah, but this story is so rich with like, it is just a beautiful tapestry of a story. And you don't want to get me going down here. I will keep you on here until 10 o'clock tonight talking Star Wars. So
well, we'll do this again sometime, and
absolutely.
I'll make sure to pull out my 1994 West End Games Star Wars style guide that is fully laid out in 30-something pages, illustrated, and shows like this is what you do to write for the Star Wars role-playing game back then. And it's a treat. It's really fun, and I need to show it to people because I've been sitting on it now for 30 years, and I know not many people have ever seen it because it was something they sent out to freelancers, basically.
Very cool. I would love to see it. So we'll have to figure out a time for you to come back on and have some more fun.
Yeah, we'll do a Star Wars episode. That'd be crazy.
Oh yeah, that works. That works for me. All right, Phil. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. And anyone that tuned in or watched this in the future, I hope you enjoyed our chat. I had an absolute blast talking with you, and I look forward to the next time. And if you enjoyed this episode, maybe give it a thumbs up. Think about subscribing to the channel, and I will catch you next time, folks. And thanks again, Phil. Have a lovely day.